it's BigJackFilms here, and welcome back to the InuYasha vlogs, and boy do we have a set of 2 episodes that are pretty intense this time around. I am calling this arc the Resurrection of Kohaku arc, which is basically episodes 29 and 30, so we're that far in, folks, into the series. So, this is essentially the first 2-part arc of Season 2, and we basically open with Kagome back in the present-day era. Her grandfather is trying to create some sort of illness for her to stay away from school to go to the feudal era, but she still has studying to do. She's still a normal 15-year-old high school girl who still needs to do her studies and still needs to pretty much succeed in class. Lately she's been kind of missing a few things in class, but thankfully her little brother Sota has been helping her out. And as that's going on, we then go back to the feudal era, and Kagome comes back, and they go back on their adventures to find Naraku. In the meantime, InuYasha is still trying to master the Tetsaiga, because in the last episode, the first episode of Season 2, he actually was able to kill 100 demons in one swing, which only Shishomaru did a few episodes back. So basically, he's trying to harness that, and he's thinking, I'm going to master the sword. The Tetsaiga is mine, as he says. Great lines in this episode. But anyway, so we also, while we're dealing with that, we also have Sango, who has been joining the ride lately. So we come to a scene where Kagome and Sango are in a hot spring, so it's the first nudity scene we've seen in a while, which, ooh, those aren't too bad, I guess. Nice little fan service, but Sango pretty much lays the groundwork to Kagome about how her brother Kohaku died during the ambush at Naraku's castle, or, you know, the Prince Kagawaki's castle, and how it all kind of spiraled down from there and how she ended up with them. And while we're doing that, we realize also that Kagome, we keep forgetting, she's the one who destroyed the jewel, like, broke the jewel, so that's why they're going on this big mission. But there's a great scene where, like, Sango basically thinks that the guys are peeping on them, so she throws a rock at them, and it turns out to be a monkey, as Dennis Hopper was in the Mario Brothers movie, but then actually Moroku and InuYasha both see them at the same time, and the girls throw punches at them, and cut to Moroku just like, that was a wonderful sight we just saw. Moroku, you and your girly shenanigans, but the scene's actually pretty nice, it's pretty sweet, it's got some funny moments and so on, so it's a nice little change of pace there. And also, what's great about this episode, it kind of brought me back to kind of the early days of InuYasha. There was something about the tone and feel of this 2-parter that really got me back into the spirit of the early days of me watching it, or at least the first season. So that was a nice nod, because there's times I think, oh, InuYasha is a fun little kid show, but then I realized, no, it's a dark, adult show. This is not meant for kids, you know, because you've got violence, nudity, swearing, like, it's a pretty rough and gruff show. So as they go along their journey, they discover a dead man in the ground, and InuYasha's like, there's more of them, I smell more blood. So they head down and they find this village has been entirely massacred from something, and it was no demon sword, it was a human sword. So you're thinking, okay, maybe barbarians, maybe bandits. No, it's a fellow demon slayer, a child for that matter, who has slaughtered this village, and it turns out to be Sango's brother Kohaku. But then you're thinking, wait a minute, he died. He got a fuckload of arrows. He got Sean Beaned. He got Boromired when we first saw Sango in Season 1. Nope. As usual, Naraku is up to his old schemes again. He has implanted a shard in the sacred jewel in Kohaku's back to keep him alive and basically become his zombie puppet during the whole time. And Sango finds out about this and is completely shocked that he is defending Naraku. And it turns out that Naraku also wiped out his memory. Completely wiped it out, like taking out all the memory off a USB. And he only obeys Naraku's commands. So Naraku strikes a deal with Sango. Bring me the Tetsaiga, InuYasha's sword, and I will let Kohaku roam free. So now we have Sango in this very tough situation, and they're hunkered down at this bunker for the night, and she's thinking, you know what, fuck, to save my brother I gotta steal the sword. And even InuYasha is just looking at her like, you don't want to do that, because I know how you feel about wanting to kill somebody you've absolutely hated your whole life, and how it can destroy you. And obviously he's mentioning Kikyo. So he shares... What's great about InuYasha in this arc, he actually has sort of a connection with another character who suffers the same fates as he has, you know, where the person you love is turned against you, and you both end up hating each other and trying to kill one another, which is Naraku's greatest strength, is the ability to be a sadist asshole, which is why I love this villain so much. But during the chaos, we enter Part 2, and the entire bunker has been ambushed and surrounded by demons, so they can't really do much about it because Moroku can't use his wind tunnel because it's still being healed, and on top of that, you know, Samyosha, the killer bees in the air, and on top of that, InuYasha hasn't able to master Tetsaiga yet, so they're kind of fucked. And the one leading the charge is Kohaku again with his army of demons. So in order to stop the chaos, Sango follows Kohaku and steals Tetsaiga and takes it to Kakawaki's castle. And basically, you know, Muraku's like, give me the sword first, and she's like, give me my brother first. It's literally the Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know. It's like, give me the whip, throw me the idol, and I'll throw you the whip. You throw the whip, adios, senor. So, Naraku's kind of a two-timing bastard, and basically tries to get her and her brother to fight each other so that the sacred jewel can become a pure evil essence. While that's going on, it also turns out that Naraku was Kagawaki, the prince from a few episodes ago, and that he was just like, oh, Kagawaki never existed, only to those I convinced believed he existed, which, lying motherfucker. So, the episode pretty much has Kohaku, like, with the upper hand because he has some of Naraku's strength, cutting the fuck out of Sango. This is a very violent episode. Pretty bloody, especially for, like, the third episode, or the first arc in the series. And it's pretty intense. It's pretty intense shit, not gonna lie. But obviously, InuYasha, Moroku, and Kagome show up to save the day and help them out, as well as Kilala. Kilala actually gets hit pretty bad with some miasma, which is Naraku's toxic gas. And, you know, at that point, you know, Moroku turns to InuYasha, like, this is what happened with you and Kikyo 50 years ago. It's the same shtick, and it just shows how much of a... Sorry, my ears are falling off. So much of a sadistic bastard Naraku is. And Naraku is easily one of my favorite villains in any franchise, any series or storylines. He is a great villain, because I find villains that just want to control the world are overly cliche, but a villain that can fuck with the heroes mentally, a mentally abusive villain, those are the best, because you want to see these motherfuckers die really bad. So, with, you know, everything going to shit, Kagome has enough, and there's a scene, she fires her arrow at Naraku, shoots him twice, and she's, like, really badass. Her full spiritual power is taking full effect. But there's a shot where it kind of pans up to her, and she's looking badass. She's really sexy in this episode, because aside from the hot spring scene, she's also just kind of standing there with her bow like, I'm fucking done, you know, so it's kind of a hot moment in that sense. So, she's just done, takes Naraku, hits him straight on, because she can see the sacred jewel shards, and he disappears, you know, as he usually does, and retreats to fight another day. The castle disappears, and Sango's thinking, I'm going to split with the group because I'm just going to cause trouble. But they decide, no, stay with us. You're better with us. Safety in numbers. And so the episode ends with Sango being comforted in Kagome's arms. Really sweet moment. And yeah, it's a pretty solid two-part episode, honestly. The tensions are really high. More character development for Sango, as well as Kohaku, because they've just joined the group. InuYasha gets a few great moments to kind of, you know, have a bit more of a sympathetic side to him, because he's always cocky and everything. This is one of those moments where he's really like, yeah, I get it, man. You know, he starts to see the value of friendship with all his companions. Kagome is a great supportive character in this episode, trying to help Sango out however she can. And even Shippo has a few good lines in this episode, a few great little bits of dialogue. Again, Naraku is a sadistic bastard. It's really dark again. This makes me go back to like the early days of watching the show, as well as the first season, which is nice. It still keeps to that tone. Like, even though this is the second season, the episodes were still coming out, I think, even after season 1 was going on. Like, it came out a week later. So I think with Japan, when it comes to airing episodes, it's very sporadic. It's very odd the way they air stuff in Japan. So I like this episode. I like this little arc. It's probably kind of in my personal favorites in this season. I'd have to take a look at season 2, because season 2 is one of those seasons I've watched every once in a while, because I can watch season 1 to death and never get tired of it, but season 2, from this point on, it's gonna be a lot more review-based, because I've seen the first season so much, I know it all by heart. Second season, it's going to take me a while to kind of figure out what's what and what are my favorite episodes of this certain season. You can obviously watch this stuff on Netflix, so that's a plus. But yeah, I'd give this this 2-part arc a good 8.5, maybe about a 9. I'd say an 8.5. It is a great story arc, but there are definitely more to come in the future that I will judge on my own perspective. So that's all there is for this one. Again, guys, these are not really Patreon exclusive right now, given the lockdown, but surprisingly enough, we are actually getting back to normal soon. So, if anything, the next episode that we're going to be reviewing will go back on Patreon first. That'll be a first exclusive, hopefully. I'm actually going to film 2 of them at once tonight. But, of course, if you guys want to see episodes early, as well as early content and special features, you can by supporting us on Patreon, just $1 more. And on top of that, all the funds will be going towards an InuYasha fan film project. So, yeah, until the next video, guys, join us next time when we take a look at easily one of my favorite episodes of the series, hands down. And it's a very, let's just say it's based on, it kind of looks like it was inspired by a certain kaiju that's my favorite film of all time. So, until the next episode, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. This is BigJackFilms signing off, saying, don't kill your siblings. Especially for a guy who looks like he is huge into torturing women and doing horrible hentai things to them. That came out awful. Later.